Dad didn't understand why his daughter's grave keeps growing. He burst into tears when he knew truth. The cemetery had always been unbearably silent for Marcus. Every visit felt like walking into a world that had forgotten how to breathe. He hated the stillness, hated how the world outside seemed to move on, while he stood frozen in a grief that never left him. Each step across the gravel pathway felt heavier than the last, his polished black shoes crunching softly, as if to remind him that he still carried weight when his daughter no longer could. As always, he wore his black suit. He couldn't bring himself to visit her grave in anything less. To Marcus, dressing properly was the last act of respect he could still offer her. When he finally reached her resting place, his chest tightened, and a familiar ache spread through him. The granite headstone bore her name in neat, unchanging letters. He ran a trembling hand across the cool stone. "My baby girl," he whispered, his voice breaking. But then his gaze shifted, and his breath caught. The earth above her grave was not flat like the others. Instead, it swelled upward, round, smooth, unnatural. He crouched down, pressing his palm against the grass. It was strangely soft, greener than the rest, almost too alive. Marcus forced a shaky laugh that didn't sound like his own. "The grounds crew must have messed with the soil," he muttered aloud, as if saying it could quiet the panic clawing inside him. But 2 days later, when he returned with flowers, the mound was larger. He froze in his tracks, the bouquet trembling in his grip. No, this isn't right," he whispered. His heart thudded wildly as he glanced around. People passed by, oblivious, as if blind to the strange, swelling earth. Marcus knelt again, pressing harder this time. The soil felt loose, damp, like it had been disturbed only recently. "Why?" His voice cracked. "Why can't you just rest, sweetheart?" By the third visit, his fear had grown too heavy to keep inside. He finally stopped a young groundskeeper who was mowing nearby. "Hey, come here," Marcus called sharply, his nerves fraying. The worker followed him to the grave, looking puzzled. "This grave," Marcus pointed with a shaking hand. "It's growing. Look at it. Tell me I'm not imagining things." The man bent down, brushing his fingers over the grass. "Sometimes the soil shifts, sir. Rain, roots, it happens. Graves settle unevenly." "No," Marcus snapped, his grief erupting. "I come here every day. I know what it looked like yesterday and the day before. It wasn't like this. It's rising, not sinking." His fists clenched as tears welled in his eyes. "Don't tell me it's just my grief. I buried my daughter here with my own hands. I know what I see." The groundskeeper's silence was enough of an answer. He looked uneasy, but said nothing more. That night, Marcus sat alone in his dim living room, his tie undone, his face buried in his hands. His voice cracked through the silence. "Why, baby? Why does your grave keep changing?" His sobs echoed through the empty house, a cruel reminder of the laughter that once filled those rooms. By the end of the week, Marcus could no longer bear the sight. Each visit showed the mound higher, greener, almost as though something beneath the soil was pushing up to meet him. Other graves remained flat and still, but hers looked restless, alive. On his 7th visit, Marcus stood before the swelling earth, his lips trembling. He whispered to the stone, "If someone has done something to you, if anyone dared disturb your peace, I swear I'll find out. I'll make it right." His desperation finally drove him to the cemetery office. He leaned heavily against the counter, gripping it so tightly his knuckles turned white. "I want her grave opened," he demanded, his voice firm though his whole body shook. The manager looked at him in shock. "Sir, that's not something we just do. It's a serious request." "I'm her father," Marcus snapped, slamming his hand on the desk. His voice broke under the weight of grief. "I've watched that grave grow day after day. If you think I'm imagining it, come see it yourself. But don't tell me to ignore what's right in front of me. Something is wrong." After a long silence, the manager finally agreed. A small crew would meet Marcus by the grave the following week. When the day came, Marcus wore his black suit once more. His hands were clasped tightly behind his back, knuckles pale, as he stood beside the mound that seemed taller than ever. The workers arrived with shovels, exchanging uneasy glances. The young groundskeeper who had seen it before kept his eyes low, refusing to meet Marcus's gaze. "Dig," Marcus ordered hoarsely, his voice steady, though his throat ached. "I need the truth." One of the workers stepped forward, driving his spade into the earth. Damp soil spilled out with each lift, releasing a faint smell of roots and living things. Marcus's heart pounded, his breath uneven. The mound had always seemed alive to him, and now, as shovels cut deeper, the truth felt close enough to choke him. The workers peeled back grass and earth in careful layers. Then, one of them muttered nervously, "Feels loose, like something's been shifting from the inside." "Keep going," Marcus urged, his voice breaking. "I need to know what's causing this." They hesitated, but Marcus's burning eyes pushed them forward. Inch by inch, the ground gave way. Then one worker froze. His shovel had struck something firm, fibrous. He crouched, brushing soil aside with his gloved hand. Brown strands began to emerge, thick, knotted, running sideways through the earth. Marcus's stomach twisted. "What is that?" he demanded. Another worker leaned in closer. "Roots," he murmured. "But they're fresh. Not from the cemetery trees." The crew dug more, uncovering a web of tangled roots twisting upward, forcing the soil to rise. They weren't wild or accidental. They had been planted there. Marcus dropped to his knees, clawing at the dirt with his bare hands. His fingers pulled free a small shard of wood, fragile, unmistakable. It was a piece of a sapling. His breath caught. Memory slammed into him like a wave. His daughter's room, the little potted sapling she had cherished, watering it every morning. He could still hear her tiny voice. "Trees live forever, Daddy. Even if I don't, something I plant will." Tears spilled hot down his cheeks. He realized what had happened. Someone, perhaps the funeral staff, perhaps a loved one, had placed the sapling in her coffin. Now its roots were searching, pushing, growing. The grave wasn't restless, it wasn't disturbed, it was alive. Marcus bowed his head, his shoulders shaking violently. "Oh, baby girl," he sobbed, "even now, you're still trying to grow." The workers stood in silence, their hats in hand, waiting for Marcus to speak. None of them dared disturb the moment. They had uncovered something extraordinary, and they knew it belonged to Marcus and his daughter alone. Marcus raised a trembling hand. "Stop," he whispered. His voice was hoarse but resolute. "Don't take it out. Leave it. She wanted this." The men exchanged quiet glances, then slowly stepped back, respecting his wish. Marcus remained on his knees, tracing the roots with his fingers. They were strong, vibrant, pulsing with life. For the first time in weeks, he felt something stir inside him that wasn't despair. It was reverence. His daughter hadn't left him completely. She had left behind a legacy that would continue to grow, even beneath the weight of the earth. In the days that followed, Marcus returned again and again, but now without dread. He came with tenderness, carrying a small watering can instead of flowers. He would kneel by the grave, speaking softly as if his daughter could hear. "I'll take care of it, sweetheart," he promised. "I'll help you grow. You'll stand tall one day, and everyone will know you're still here." The cemetery caretakers agreed to let the sapling remain, understanding the sacredness of what was happening. Slowly, the mound continued to rise as the roots spread beneath. It no longer frightened Marcus. It comforted him. The ground was not restless, it was determined. Weeks turned into months. Marcus's visits became daily rituals, moments of both grief and healing. The air around the grave seemed different, as if the sapling had begun to change more than just the soil. Other mourners passing by would slow their steps, curious about the small mound that seemed to hold something special. Then one morning, Marcus arrived to find something new. A fragile green shoot pushing through the grass, slender and delicate, reaching upward toward the light. His breath caught, and tears blurred his vision. He crouched down, cradling the stem gently between his fingers. "You did it," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You kept your promise." Memories flooded him. his daughter laughing as she watered her little potted tree, her insistence that it would live forever. And now, in the quiet heart of the cemetery, her words had come true. She had left behind more than sorrow, she had left life. Marcus stayed for hours that day, watching the tiny sapling bend in the breeze. For the first time since her death, he felt something close to peace. The grave had not been a sign of restlessness but of continuation. His daughter had found a way to grow even after she was gone. From then on, Marcus no longer saw the cemetery as a place of endings. To him, it became a garden of beginnings. Each time he watered the young tree, each time he whispered to it, he felt her presence beside him. Not as a ghost, not as a memory, but as something living, rooted deep in the earth and stretching bravely toward the sky. And so, the mound that once filled him with terror became his greatest comfort. It was proof that love does not end with death, it only changes form. His daughter was gone, yes, but she was also still here. Alive in every root, alive in every leaf, alive in every breath of wind that passed through the branches of the tree that would one day stand tall, forever keeping her promise. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching. Curious.